Hey guys, what's up? This is Teddy Macedo, aka bearRimshot speaking. Okay then, if I can be very honest, why the fridge I'd be wearing this t-shirt of Yoda dressed up as Santa Claus was 4th of July? Well, not gonna lie when I say this, but I guess you say I just did it just because I feel like it. Plus, some always say Christmas in July. Just like how good old Toon Disney ones did it years ago, back when it was on air. Boy, do I miss Toon Disney. But anyways, today I came here to talk more. We're basically addressing something I'm sure you guys may have seen me research in a previous update vlog. Now, what is it that I feel like addressing for this one now? In case you guys don't remember, in the last vlog I made, or the last video I've ever uploaded to my YouTube channel, for that matter, as I'm currently recording this, being the one where I share my thoughts 2019, I did state that when reflecting my own personal 2018, I would often regard it as a really good year, as well as one of my bestest years of all time, right up there alongside with 2019. And I know that all of you are probably going to be thinking here, as the title suggests, as you guys can see for yourselves, what makes 2018 stand out to be a really good year? At least just for me personally. Okay, you can say that there are a lot of famous celebrities who died all you want. However, let's be honest here. Death naturally happens, people die a lot, and that's just life, whether we all like it or not, And plus, there weren't that many people I personally knew at the time who died in 2018, much as there were those who died in 2016. Anyways, to share in full detail on what makes 2018 a good year for me, well, one thing that makes 2018 one of the bestest years in general, not just one of my favorite years, but also one of the bestest years in general, would include, well, one thing for certain, it was definitely a really big year for crossover media. It was definitely a big year in crossovers, like, for example, we definitely got to see Wreck-It Ralph finally get its own sequel, being Ralph Breaks the Internet, which not only got to feature the entire Disney Princess lineup crossing over at the same time, but also some of my favorite Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars characters appearing together at the same time, crossing over at the same time, as well as likewise. Let's not also forget, Ralph Breaks the Internet, I will say, is definitely what I consider to be the best Disney sequel of all time ever since Return to Neverland. And I'd say for a fact that, or should I say, as Phantom Trotter would always put it, in my personal opinion, to have Ralph Breaks the Internet be the best Disney sequel since Return to Neverland. Because if you think, let's be real here, if you think Ralph Breaks the Internet is the best Disney sequel since Rescuers Down Under, perhaps you have no idea, well, ever since, set between the events of the releases of both Rescuers Down Under and, Ralph Breaks the Internet, we did get plenty of more really good sequels. Like, for example, that could have topped to the Rescuers Down Under just as much as, I guess you could say Ralph Breaks the Internet did. Like, for example, in 1996, we did finally get an Aladdin sequel where Robin Williams gets reprised as well as the genie in the form of Aladdin Thieves, And you can tell when reflecting Aladdin King of Thieves as it is, a Disney sequel, it definitely ended on a satisfying note. Not only did we finally get an Aladdin sequel where Robin Williams gets reprised as well as Genie, but also at the same time, it gave some of the characters, but also can be appreciated the movie. Also can be appreciated the story for what it is. In fact, it's great that I get to find out regarding the truth regarding Aladdin's father. And then, of course, comes along The Lion King to Simba's Pride, which is definitely said to be one of the best Disney sequels. In fact, it's so good that it even made it to be on Animax's top 10 best animated sequels. And then 2000 kicked in with Walt Disney Animation Studios themselves having to produce another sequel to an animated classic. This time being Fantasia 2000. But you can tell when Disney made such a thing, they gave what good Uncle Walt would have wanted to see. See more Fantasia content becoming reality, more specifically movies. I'm especially happy we got a Fantasia sequel becoming reality in the form of Fantasia 2000, and hopefully, while you have Jennifer Lee in charge of Walt Disney Animation Studios, as well as Bob Chapek as CEO of Disney Company in general, we should be able to get a new Fantasia movie soon. When, but hopefully soon. But anyways, and then of course came along 2002 when Disney Studios released Return to Neverland. Yeah, and if you're looking for a Disney sequel that is the best, if you're looking for the best Disney sequel since The Rescue Down Under, well, that's what Fantasia 2000 and Return to Neverland for, especially Return to Neverland. I mean, okay. I mean, surely you can say that's between the release dates of Return to Neverland and Ralph Breaks In. We did get some more good Disney sequels like The Lion King 1.5, Cinderella 3, Twist of Time, Bambi 2. And say what you want about Dungeons & Dragons Notre Dame 2, but I think Dungeons & Dragons Notre Dame 2 is actually pretty good in my sleeper's opinion. And, yeah, as well as Kronk's New Groove. However, none of the Disney sequels released between Return to Neverland and Ralph Breaks In could beat the amazingness that Return to Neverland had to offer. Or at least we got Ralph Breaks In that did so. However, Ralph Breaks In wasn't the only crossover thing we got in 2018 that made 2018 such a big year. As I was saying, 2018 was such a big year in crossovers. Not only do we get Ralph Breaks In, but we also got to see a movie based on this book that exists called Ready Player One, directed by none other than the director of E.T. himself, Steven Spielberg. Yeah, if you really loved it when you have Spielberg help produce Who Framed Roger Rabbit, well, we can all be thankful that we all finally got to see a crossover movie. We all finally got to see Steven Spielberg himself finally directing his own crossover movie. It's great because, when regarding Who Framed Roger Rabbit, as great as it is on its own, and I still do wish that it could get its own sequel, at the same time, well, as great as it is to have Steven Spielberg involved in making Who Framed Roger Rabbit, he didn't necessarily bother directing it as much as he did producing for this one. But Ready Player One, well, that's where Spielberg finally gets his part to direct it, Though, of course, it wouldn't be the first time a dream that I once had regarding Steven Spielberg became a reality. Also, not that I always want to see Spielberg direct his own crossover movie, but also always want to see Steven Spielberg direct his own animated movie. This time he did get to do one, being The Adventures of Tintin, which would not only be the first animated movie to ever be directed by Steven Spielberg, but also the first, and sadly the only animated movie to ever exist, where the soundtrack in there would be composed by none other than the man who wrote the music for Star Wars himself, John Williams, which is a total shame because I really love John Williams' music. I especially love a lot of different scores he wrote. Not only did John Williams do a great job writing the music for Star Wars, is how I always remember it, but also Tintin, Schindler's List, Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, E.T., Hook, and even Hook. Okay, I may not have loved Hook as much as I did with Return to Neverland, but if I had a favorite Hook memory, it would definitely have to be the music written by John Williams. Yeah, whatever soundtracks John Williams wrote the music for, you name it and I love it. But yeah. And yeah. And when it comes to Ready Player One, I feel happy that I got to see that movie when it played at my local draft house. However, funny story regarding Ready Player One. When it comes to making this Battle of the Groups game based on that book/movie, when it comes to making a Battle of the Groups game based on Ready Player One, I just want to make sure that it can acknowledge not just limited to the movie directed by Steven Spielberg, but also the original book written by Ernest Cline as well. However, I will honestly say this on my part, that I've had some really good friends in my life, and I've had some really good friends in my life who have actually read the book. However, whenever I feel like questioning regarding whether or not certain characters appear in the book, that's where, well, I would get all my friends who have actually read the book tell me that I would have to read it for myself, Which really does pain me, because every time I feel like doing research on the different characters who appeared in the book, I've been having a hard time finding a complete list of different characters in general who have ever appeared in the book. However, I do get that there'll be certain franchises that would indeed be referenced in the book. Like, I do hear that Star Wars is heavily referenced more so than it does in the movie, as well as more references to Nintendo, as well as PlayStation, Xbox, and Sega. However, I wasn't having the internet one. Whenever I feel like doing research for one regarding the different cameos in the book, the internet is not always clear regarding which characters from the worlds they say. I don't know. Star Wars, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, Sega as examples, do get to appear in Ready Player One. I'm even still confused on whether or not Mickey Mouse appeared in the book, because, sometimes when you think of things like PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, or Sega, not only can you easily think of games they've personally created on their own, like Sly Cooper, Crash Bandicoot, God of War, Halo, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario, The Legend of Zelda, Kirby, Pokemon, and Sonic as examples, but also, God knows, there could have been those people who exist out there who might think about things like PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and Sega, especially including Nintendo as well. God knows, they could have also think about whatever third-party games they love to play on each of these on their favorite gaming platforms that exist in the market, like it's games like Mega Man, Mickey Mouse, GoldenEye, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy VII, and Tomb Raider, Metal Gear Solid, whatever games that you can find in the market, you name it. Yeah, you get the idea. However, when being honest with what I've been reading lately, well, as of right now, I'm still currently reading the BFG written by Roald Dahl. However, when thinking about future books I would want to read, well, I definitely would want to read more Roald Dahl books on one hand. However, because all my friends who have read Ready Player One refuse to tell me which characters coexist me with the book by Ernest Cline, I guess might as well, once I'm done reading once I'm done reading the BFG, might as well read Ready Player One, you know? And then, of course, let's not also forget that we also got Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But basically, as you can see for yourself, as you can obviously tell and see for yourself, the folks at Nintendo managed to get a way to bring back every single character who has ever appeared in a Smash game. Yes, this includes characters like Snake and the Ice Climbers, and yeah. And when regarding Snake's appearance in Smash Ultimate, I'm not gonna lie when I say this, but I'm definitely happy to see Snake back in Smash. And because that Snake is back in Smash, that's where you can tell Solid Snake finally gets his once-in-a-lifetime chance to get an amiibo figure. In fact, I think I will honestly say this: that the good and funny thing regarding Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in terms of how the entire character roster channel is where you can tell that, considering how Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is said to be the Smash game where everyone is here, that's where you can tell literally every character who has ever been in Smash, both past, present, and future, can get their own amiibo figures. Meaning, regardless if any of the characters present in Smash Ultimate will ever get to return in any future Smash games or not, at least we got amiibo figures for each and every one of these characters to ever exist. And yes, this includes characters like Snake, for example, for if you want to use them for any of your existing favorite play table games, including Battle of the Groups. At least most of them, actually, obviously. Yeah. And when it comes to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I'm really loving that game to death, you know? I'm planning to get more games on my Switch whenever I feel like it. And at the same time, in a case if you're all wondering whether or not I will ever get my hands on the entire Smash Ultimate DLC roster, chances are, yes, I will be whenever I feel like it. Like, say, there aren't any more games that I can download on my Switch that pique my interest. But for now, there are some other games I would want to download at the Nintendo eShop on my Switch. But yeah, the fact that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate would have been said, the fact that 2018 would be the big year. Crossovers wouldn't be the only thing that would make 2018 stand out to be a really good year. Also, another good thing regarding 2018 is that back when, for the first time in 10 years, not only for the first time in 10 years, I was able to enjoy a nice good old vacation in Florida for my birthday. Not only that, but also at the same time, speaking about things that occurred during my birthday, well, while my birthday was right around the corner, my local Alamo Draft House had the guts to host a double feature consisting of not one, but two stop-motion animated movies Disney helped distribute, being The Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach, both of which I will honestly say I feel so happy to luckily had the pleasure to sit through, you know? And, you know, it's a shame to see that there be those movies that exist, like Little Mermaid, any marathon, Return of the Jedi, as well as any marathons dedicated to the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe or Star Wars that don't come to my local draft house because, you know, especially considering how not only has Disney made an own rights to great movies, but also there'd even be some movies that Disney didn't even own the rights to that did manage to get their own specialty menus, like Beauty and the Beast, The Jungle Book, The Lion King, Sleeping Beauty, Frozen, Mary Poppins, Coco, The Incredibles 2, Finding Dory, call it. Oh yes, right. Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Star Wars, and especially movies like Isle of Dogs and the Simpsons movie. And yeah, also another good thing that also occurred, fortunately for me, I managed to get my hands on a job I was able to settle with at the time. Which I will honestly say the job that I had there I absolutely loved. Definitely great people to work with, including a boss who was so caring of workers like me. Make sure I do my job and was understanding my job needs, like making sure that I can work only on weekdays during the daytime, which I would always prefer, which would always be when I always prefer to work at. As well as likewise, and regarding that job I once had, definitely did. Also definitely do feel so happy I was able to enjoy free lunch. And yeah. And yeah. And another thing, another good thing that also happened would include, of course, I have had some Patreon requests become a reality. Now, for those who don't know what I'm talking about here, well, there'd be this website that exists called Patreon, where basically, not only can you, as a fellow content creator, use it to raise money to help create bigger, better, to get bigger and better experience for certain projects you want to work on, but also at the same time, you as a fan of whoever's got a Patreon account can easily support all of your favorite all your favorite content creators on there by donating whatever amount of money you want. And something I can be appreciative of Patreon is that at least I could use it to not just limit to be there to pledge money, donate whatever money I want to support all my favorite content creators. Well, that is if I have the right amount to do so. But also at the same time, another thing that I can also be appreciative about Patreon is that no matter when you pledge all your favorite content creators on there a certain amount of money, that's where you can easily earn some awesome rewards, which is pretty nice, And back in 2018, I got to support Source Gaming, which I will honestly say I'm still highly supporting even up to this day, I will honestly say. Which all of the Patreon requests I've ever requested to become a reality are mainly for SG choice. And if you're somebody who enjoys when I Patreon request, if you're somebody who really enjoys any Patreon requests I send for Source Gaming to do for SG choice, well, you're probably gonna like to see what has yet to come up soon on the Source Gaming YouTube channel. And yeah, things are gonna get really, really interesting, especially if you're into things like Super Smash Brothers, and especially if you're a Nintendo fan in general. Things are gonna get interesting. And then, of course, I was also once a Patreon supporter of this one internet review I'm sure a lot of you may know and may recall and heard that would go become whom I've always cited as one of my biggest influences for casual reviews of bearRimshot, as well as having a lot of people he worked with, both past and present, but also like him himself did get to inspire me to create casual reviews of bearRimshot, as you guys all know and loved, Mr. Coat. And yeah, I will admit that whenever I get to support Mr. Coat on Patreon, I always find it nice if I could ask him whatever questions I feel like. Though I do try to refrain from talking about things that go along the lines of politics, you know? Though, yeah, it's unfortunate that... Though it's a shame that I can't support Mr. Coat on Patreon more, at least hopefully for now, mainly, and let's be honest, the only reason why I've been unable, in case if you're all wondering why that is the case, to all those who enjoy when I ask Mr. Coat certain questions, I've made Mr. Coat to make certain videos, I'm sure all of you who enjoy when I have any Patreon requests from Mr. Coat to talk about for a video, that don't happen anymore. Well, it's been 2 years since that time. I'm sure all of you noticed that I don't get to ask him questions anymore, nor do you guys get to see my name appear in the end credits, in the special thanks. Well, that's because, well, from my understanding, let's just say Mr. Coat, from my understanding, was so butthurt about the fact that I called Morgan Ledger pedophile, which, yes, it was definitely an honest mistake that I did that such thing. I definitely now know for a fact at this point in time that I should not have done that. Don't worry, people. A public apology video for that, dedicated to that kind of stuff, will still happen. However, all I can say is, well, something you guys will hear me always say when it comes to addressing that time when I call Morgan a pedophile, as much as I can honestly say it was an honest mistake on my part that we should not have done that, still doesn't change my mind from feeling like that for what Morgan had to say about his Guardian still holds up as flat out weird, flat out creepy, flat out status, and flat out heterophobic. Here's the thing about that. And no, Harry Henry, it's not the hate on Azuchi Guardian that's a problem. For I hate him to death as well. I wouldn't blame people like Morgan for hating on him, but unfortunately, there had to be people like Morgan who would say certain things that, well, not only can it come across him sounding like he would have problems with, say, I don't know, New Yorkers and straights, and, you know, the problem I have with what Morgan has to say about Azuchi Guardian, and no, Harry Henry, it's not him, it's not much about Morgan hate on Azuchi Guardian for. I can understand for that when regarding, for being honest, how it can be regarding the hate on Azuchi Guardian and so on. I can understand why that is the case. Especially this is somebody who's made a lot of terrible mistakes, let alone just did things which I'm sure we can all agree, a lot of us can agree, he should not have done. But unfortunately, there had to be people like Morgan who, for whatever reason, one way or the other, had to go take himself way too far by exaggerating. Having to say certain things about him, which not only can easily prove to someone like me who knows who he is, as some, the problem I have with what Morgan said about Azuchi Guardian, that's where we can tell that Morgan would say certain things where he can come across as not just as if he were to be both statist and heterophobic, as can be proven when you hear me say that on Azuchi Guardian, which you know I'm not. But so let's be honest here, you can tell that when you hear Morgan say such a thing about Azuchi Guardian, that's where you can tell Morgan is looking to discriminate me for not just being straight, but also for being a New Yorker, just as much as he did with me being disabled, me being autistic, and me being Jewish. But also, when you hear people like Morgan just say such a things about me, that's where you can tell Morgan is just looking to enable this saying that animation is just... You can tell that... You guys can tell for a fact that when you hear Morgan say that doesn't exist. That's where you can tell Morgan Ledger is just, well, I guess you can say, just looking to enable this saying that enable animation, enable the idea of treating anime, you can tell more just treating animation as it were to be some kids genre, as well as likewise enabling not one, but two guys, a person who back in high school named Ethan Brown, which I will honestly say that if you're somebody who loves cartoons to death, if you're somebody who loves animation to death, or Disney, or My Little Pony, or Tom's Tank Kitchen, or you're somebody who seems to be a major lover of, or Sesame Street, or you seem to have positive timeless feelings on things like, or whatever, got to earn either Disney Junior, play as Disney, or see BBs, or even having a love for playing such games like Reader Rabbit, Clue Finders, Jumpstart, Living Books, or anything from Type Creative. Wonders Vault, chances are, and especially if you're a fan of, say, Toucan LDM, and especially if you're a fan of the works of, if you're a fan of Logan Miller, Toucan LDM, then you're probably going to be hating on Ethan Brown, on both, not just Ethan Brown, but also Mr. Hard throughout the whole entire life. Because let me tell you this, that Ethan Brown, he's just bad news to the entire cartoon community. It's a shame that there had to be people like not just Morgan, but also Jaime Tude, who would go support Ethan Brown. I don't know what makes him appealing, but it's their funeral. But yeah. But anyway, so yeah. Yeah, to keep this long story short, on why I don't support music on Christian. Not that I don't want to, but rather, well, you just have to be one of those fellow content creators who just feel like Morgan, it's a great idea for Morgan Ledger to be all heterophobic with me, you know? Yeah, no wonder why heterophobia has to be such a big deal within the entertainment industry. Bah humbug to that. But yeah. And let's not also forget that for what Morgan had to say about Zuchiko, and that's where you can tell Morgan Ledger clearly has not only carried little to no respect for people with disabilities, but also clearly had carried little to no respect for people on privacy and people, as well as carried little to no respect for people who have diabetes. You guys see why I continuously bring up the fact that I have diabetes on the internet whenever I feel like it. Unfortunately, this is what happens where you have people like Morgan Ledger who just felt like treating it like it would be some joke. Well, when you say that, when I hear someone like say Morgan Ledger say stuff that go along the lines of it doesn't exist, that goes to prove that Morgan Ledger is just clearly glorifying Nazism, you know. And yeah. And when I hear you in general say that Ichigo doesn't exist, you're proving to me that you just don't care on how people feel about things. You're just proving to me they just feel like you're just proving what a major Nazi you are. Like, you're just acting like things like the Holocaust or 9/11 were to be some jokes, you know? Because, let's be honest here, I could go on all day on how Uzuchi Guardian helped change my life. In fact, I'm not even going to lie when I say this, but so many events have occurred because of him. Not only did I lose my friendship with my mixtape because of Uzuchi Guardian, but also, you can tell a lot of other people, especially, mainly from both the entire anime fan base and the entire Mr. Friends community, didn't manage to have the guts to lose respect for me because of Uchigo. And I'd say that because, well, when I hear anyone say that I would lie about Mike Mixtape, that's when we can tell those people who are retarded boners, as I call them, who would go dare believe such things about me, that I would do such a thing. They're just looking to enable Uzuchi Guardian in every way, shape, or form. Not just limited to the fact that you have Azuchi Guardian, who, like people like Caleb Cork Alexander and Bella's examples, did guilty enough accuse me about lying about something to them, but also you can tell there sadly have to be people like Trotter, for example, and yes, fellow anime fans, I'm talking about that same exact person who did guilty enough go angry, did guilty enough once look to destroy Animat's passion as a YouTuber. Anyways, to keep this long story short, long before Chrissy tried to become Animat's #1 biggest internet troll, as we all know and hate, Chrissy Trotter, whether you guys believe it or not, has actually trolled me in the past. In fact, you guys can even tell for a fact that when we speak about Chrissy Trotter, well, he wasn't accepting the reality that Azuchi Guardian deserves all the blame for ruining my friendship with the Mike mixtape more so than I ever can and did for myself. For the worst thing I would ever, for the worst crime I would ever do to Mike mixtape is to do nothing more than I would just do anything and everything I can to show as much respect for him as I could, And I'm not even gonna lie, At least it's the worst I kind of did, People with the entire anime fan club, both past and present, don't get regarding how I can be with Mike mixtape is really well. He really broke ties with me just because of Azuchi Guardian, who trolled Jaime too, Oh, if you guys don't believe me, well, you guys can even see it for yourselves in the last update video I made back in spring. Oh yes, that's how you guys can usually find proof, evidence of how, not just limited to how Azuchi Guardian were to be the blame for ruining my friendship with Mike mixtape more so than myself, but also, even Azuchi Guardian himself, whether you believe it or not, whether the guys all believe it or not, did actually want to admit about himself publicly that he'd be the reason on not just why Morgan Ledger had to go all citizens over my June 2006 update vlog, but also the reason why there'll be some other folks on the internet who exist who just won't accept, who just don't. But also, you can tell Azuchi Guardian to be the evil and Mickey Evilson why there'll be people I've met on the internet who I've seen and who would do anything to show me that they don't even understand on why I would ever consider talking about Morgan. As well as let's not also forget on why Morgan doesn't want to collaborate with me in general. So the thing when I do update vlogs talking about Morgan Ledger, well, I'm being honest about myself on why I would ever consider talking about Morgan Ledger in my June 2016 update vlog in the first place. Well, I know I may have addressed this before, but I will address this again just one last time, and so hopefully, but here we go. To keep this long story short, I just knew I would want to enlighten his day after what happened to him with Mr. Coat back in 2016. And yes, something worth noting for yourselves, that means you, Morgan Ledger, in case you're watching this, that if you see me make an update vlog where that would be, say, I don't know, 9 minutes long, and I talk about him, you're not going to have to realize for yourself that in videos like that, like when I did one for June 2016, that's where you can tell that the reality of, you can and should be able to tell for a fact that when I do update vlogs where I talk about Morgan Ledger and are 90 minutes long, that the reason why that if I can be completely honest on what's with me having to make those so-called 90-minute videos talk about Morgan, well, it is worth understanding for yourself that when it comes to doing an update vlog, as much as Morgan can be important, can be relevant to these particular matters whenever I feel like it's right, technically there would be more that matters than just Morgan. Like, for example, when I do an update vlog, well, if you see me produce a long update vlog, that's because, well, usually I have so many things I just knew I may feel like I either need or want to talk to you guys about. Yeah, when it comes to doing update vlogs, I can go on all day on what I consider making them. But to keep this long story short, no, I don't make them turn to do angry rants on people, but rather more on, I guess you can say, just to fill you guys in regarding what's new with life as a content creator and all that kind of stuff, and nothing more. And I just know how to be honest, Don't want to lie, And yeah, and something I've been saying about not just Morgan, but also Tim Johnson as well, is that they both violated HIPAA, as in the health insurance. They both violated HIPAA. Well, I would say that about not just Morgan Ledger, but also Tim Johnson as well, mainly because, well, when you hear Morgan Ledger say stuff that go along the lines of going by nickname not good enough, that is just flat out creepy for him to say, because, yeah, at the end of the day, even the most hateable jerks who exist, who sadly had to exist, may do some things that maybe one thing may not do, but either way, maybe okay. But either way, would be okay to do whatever desired to, But anyways, enough going on in time. Morgan, at least, going on quote-unquote anti-Morgan, at least for now. Let's talk about some other good things that occurred in 2018. Now, another good thing that also occurred in 2018, if you were here on my YouTube channel, if you were there for whatever it is I got to do on YouTube back in 2018, that's where you guys can see for yourselves that not only would it be the year when I finally kickstarted my life doing work on parodies, but starting with steamed hams, having to make my own fan dubs for steamed hams, but also at the same time, it would also be when, for the first time since 2015, I finally got to personally release a single episode of Casual Reviews of bearRimshot, which I'm sure would be a miracle for a lot of people who enjoy the show for what it is. Particularly if you're someone who always wants, if you're someone who enjoyed the entire episode on its own for what it is. Because I'm going to be honest here that when it comes to making Casual Reviews of bearRimshot as a public apology, I'm not even going to lie when I say this, but I definitely have worked really, really hard in making it bigger and better. When I say bigger and better, I mean making a way of how not only can I be proud of it as time gets old, but also make it so all of you guys, regardless of what you think about the previous episodes, can enjoy it for what it is, That is all I ever wanted to do, Create what is essentially the best entertainment that people want to see, And you can tell that, yes, it is reasons why I would consider getting into not just filmmaking, but also game designing and songwriting as well. It's not about the money, nor is it the fame, but more about the entertainment side of things. I want to make sure that all of you guys can easily get entertained with whatever it is I do, And when I do my update vlog next weekend, you're going to love to hear whatever it is I have to say about how I've been as a content creator, including, especially if you're somebody who misses Casual Reviews of bearRimshot to death, you're going to love to hear what I have to say. But anyways, yeah, and, another good thing that 2018 has to offer, if you guys, speaking about Mr. Code, going back to Mr. Code, if you were to ask me what I will honestly say would indeed be my favorite video that Mr. Code has ever produced of all time, it would have to be this one he did addressing the difference between a family film and a children's film. Which I will honestly say I feel so happy that video became a reality, even though I may not have personally requested it. But either way, I'm happy that video became a reality because, let's be honest here. There's actually a major difference between I find from children, and if I can be very honest, I feel so happy that such a video would exist, that Mr. Coe would make one where he would address between the difference between a fan film and a children's film. Well, let's just say, some, let's just say it all boils down to certain events that occurred when I was in high school. Well, to keep this long story short, as I mentioned before, there were not one but two individuals I personally met at my second high school who were so liable on this middle school friends as fanboy of mine, Even accused him of outgrowing Epic Battles. You can tell they're just saying that just because, if you're somebody who's actually isn't familiar with my work in Epic Battles, that's where you can tell for a fact that we in Mercedes Productions as a whole are indeed guilty of including some preschool characters. We definitely all indeed go on as some out of many characters in Epic Battles whom my friend does it and will never let go. And regardless what you think about such ideas, especially regardless what you think about Chicken LDM's idea of My Little Pony characters popping up in crossovers in general, you really can't deny that there are people who like that kind of stuff, regardless of sexual orientations, It still won't change the fact that there are people within my fan base, within the Epic Battles community, who support such things. And plus, let's not also forget that, now if you think Epic Battles is just nothing more than just a kids movie, just because these are preschool kids, and having your talks about use of songs that are actually musical numbers, like if it were to be written by either, I don't know, Megan and Howard Ashman or the Sherman Brothers, perhaps you have no idea that Epic Battles is technically nothing more than just a family film to prove it. Like, for example, when talking to anyone who's familiar with Epic Battles as it is, not only are you going to hear talks regarding a lot of Disney things, but also, even we in Mercedes Productions as a whole are guilty of including characters from animated games, as well as things like Spawn, as well as including characters from things like The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Game of Thrones, as well as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as well as including YouTube celebrities who actually swear, and one of them would include is regarding whether you guys all believe it or not. But yeah. That is unfortunately, and yeah, that is apparently the reality. That is apparently the reality of Epic Battles in a nutshell. It is nothing more than just a family film, And yeah. Even I can be guilty of having ideas of, for when I make my spin-off of Epic Battles, I would consider writing and directing called Valentines into an animated series. Not only would I consider making a Holocaust Remembrance Day episode, but also, I would also consider producing a Valentine's Day episode making fun of heterophobia, which you guys can also tell for the fact that I honestly can never stand, Especially the fact that I'm straight, Yes, people, if I were to do a Valentine's Day episode for the groups that don't involve retelling any existing stories, might as well make one poking fun of heterophobia where Steph Felton, I guess you could say, would be the main villain in this one. Now, okay, Steph Felton never got her once-in-a-lifetime chance as a group leader. At least not like what his Guy Morgan, Legend Hamilton all did. However, considering what she probably thought from what I've been hearing about her, in general, I guess you could say it would make sense if Steph Felton could be portrayed as if she was the main villain in this Valentine's Day episode. I would make mocking heterophobia be a thing, And And, yeah. By the way, before I can go end off this episode on a Happy New Year note, there's one more thing I forgot to mention in the 2019 vlog. That is, well, this one con I have. That is regarding how I've been regarding your weekly. Now, when 2019 came along, that would be when I officially stopped being friends with your weekly for good, you know? In which, well, I know I already explained this before, and I will have to say this again, that it's unfortunate that when being honest on the reality, when looking to the reality on why I lost my friendship with you in the first place, not only do you have to blame Azuchi Garden, but also there's so many people who deserve a lot of blame. If you're somebody who, I don't know, if you're somebody who would dare any believe such things, like I would lie about certain things, lie about something in general, or if you're somebody who would believe that I would lie about something in general, and you're somebody who has issues with the fact that I have autism, or you would think I'm a Zuchi Guardian, or stuff along those lines, or you're somebody who has had problems with me supporting, who has had problems with me wanting certain characters to be in Smash, as well as likewise me being optimistic about Toy Story video games being revived. And yes, that also means you, Hylio, if you're watching this. Or if you're somebody who thinks it's a great idea to or if you're somebody who thinks it's a great idea for Zuchi Guardian to coexist in the world of Epic Battle just because Dante said so, the chances are you're going to be in for an awful lot of blame for ruining my friendship with you, really, whether you intend to or not, you know? Even if you did it all out of negligence, you know? Still wouldn't change the fact that in not only God is Guardian would be guilty of ruining my friendship with you, really, but also a lot of people, like Caleb Cork is guilty of ruining my friendship with you, really, as was like Bella, Chris Trotter, Mia Ray, Mike Nixie, Morgan Ledger, Hamitude, Tim Johnson, Hylio, and Dante Aces. Those people you hear me just named, all guilty of ruining my friendship with you, weekly. With all accountable, most of these people would be guilty of either enabling a Zuchi Guardian. All these people would be guilty of either, enabling a Zuchi Guardian, or just think it's a great idea for a Zuchi Guardian to coexist in a crossover, to actually be in a crossover project of some sort, or just camping, agreeing with a Zuchi Guardian on certain things, or yeah. That is unfortunately the reality, and I rest my case.